Welcome to DV live from the Londoner Hotel in Leicester Square. I'm Wayne Tassie, Group Director of Integrated Solutions for EMEA at Double Verify, and I'm here today with my good friend Michael Murray from OMD EMEA.
And some very strong bright lights.
And some very strong,
really strong bright lights.
How are you today, Mike?
I'm all right, how are you?
Yeah,
good event.
It was a good event,
Really
wasn't
good event.
it?
Plenty of good content.
Yeah, DV's Impact event. We seem to be doing them pretty well.
Impactful, some would say.
Impactful. Very impactful.
We're here with the dad jokes and the puns all day.
Mike, it's absolutely a pleasure to have you here today. Let's just start off just very quickly. What was your high point from today's event?
I had a horrible feeling you were going to ask me that question as I was watching it, because I can't believe you rammed so much content into such a short space of time and went into depth with all that content as well. It was only 2 hours or 2.5 hours or something.
It didn't even feel that long,
It didn't feel like that at all. If I have to pick a favourite, maybe the first panel. Purely because when you come away from your day-to-day agency role and you come to an event like this, you have ideas in your head for the clients that you're working on and what you want to do, but it's also quite reassuring for you in your role to hear other people in similar roles having similar conversations. And it felt like that panel was very much on the cusp of where we are right now, moving very swiftly into and embracing more the wider impact of, pardon the pun, started already, to the possibilities of moving forward into different metrics and different measurement ways and different ways of assessing brand safety and suitability.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we're trying to take it back to is that kind of performance and outcomes piece. I think, you know, if we look at, I mean, me and you have known each other for quite a few years now.
We're still just execs, right? We've just started.
Totally. Going back a few years, it was literally, I mean, I've been at DV for 6 years now, and I remember at the beginning, there was pretty bit of measurement.
Yeah.
Now there is an absolute plethora of metrics and...
Yeah, this is what it was actually what I was picking up on. I think I can remember the very first conversation we had when you came in. I think I was at Neo at Mindshare at the time, you were at Double Verify, we came in, and I'd only been a couple of months in that job. You talked about brand safety, and we had this massive conversation about ad fraud. And right then, it was putting down those controls. It was, there's a word for it that's escaping me at the moment, but it was very reactive to the situation that was in market. You know, we had that story about let's not have an airline next to an air crash, whatever it was. It was that basic. And then this morning, that second panel for me was like, oh, actually, we've all matured and grown up a bit. There's a new approach to this, which is really interesting. You're right with the outcomes thing, that's what everyone's looking at, and I'm just embrace anything that will help to mature. How many times have I said that mature word?
Does that word apply to us?
No, not at all. We've got mature words at all. But the metrics that we're measuring, particularly in programmatic, you know, I don't want it to still be looking at those people who are still looking at clicks. We need to look at an outcomes based on where it comes from, and that hits so many different parallels. It's brilliant. So yeah, in short, second panel this morning was the highlight for me.
Look how far we've come.
So far. Yeah, it's a big journey.
Love it. So in recent years, the formula for measuring success has evolved significantly. How are you aligning kind of measurement efforts with driving performance and business outcomes across programmatic? So there we go, nice segue into the second question.
It's a big question though, there's a lot to it. I think that it's, as always, no one solution for one client, no one solution for everyone. It's very much, you know, we are a client-focused business. We have the most amazing household brands that it's so much fun to work on. No two conversations are the same throughout the day, both with the team, with clients, with what we're trying to achieve. When you put a programmatic spin into that, I think, you know, the conversation has increased past, you know, it's going to be display or video on a website. We talk about CTV, we talk about audio, we talk about all these multiple channels. Digital out of home needs a shout out as well. It's, as I keep saying, it's the rest of the internet.
Love a bit of digital out.
I know, why wouldn't we? You know, you've put me off the trail of thought. Well done. But no, there's a plethora of different media that we're trying to measure. The way I describe it to people who are starting off, when they join an agency and they're wondering what channel or digital channel to work in, you know what search is, you know what social is, your granny's got a Facebook account, so programmatic is everything else. Now, how do you measure it? That's your question. And what is that, how is that measurement journey gone, and how does a company like DV get involved, right? There is no one solution for each client. We do look at it both in terms of the channel mix that they're going for, but the business objectives they're driving towards. And there maybe has been a bit of a lull over the years where we've had clients that have gone, oh, this is programmatic is upper funnel, and so why are we still looking at clicks? Why is this the thing that sits here? What is the post view for that, or what is that one? I like the fact that attention is now very much part of the narrative, and you talk about how this conversation, again, I'm using the word matures, but where we come at it from that point of view, and it's just really interesting to do that with each brand that we work with in different ways. No one size fits all.
Maturation.
Maturation. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Maturation of the
you
industry.
just made that up.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm pretty sure it's a word. Yeah, I mean, let's focus on attention for a second. I mean,
Yeah.
with the attention piece, how are you guys embracing that?
Well, your shoes are certainly capturing a lot of embracing a lot of attention this morning. We look at it in different ways. I mean, personally, I've been in that attention space since about, I don't even talk about how many years, at a precursor to, I used to sell high impact skins, and we started to measure the time they were on screen, and the conversation became, buy less, buy better. And that's something that I think even our grannies would have thought us to do when we're talking about buying shoes, right? Let alone media ads. But it started off from there, and then looking at that measurement piece and how attention would be, and I think there's still a lot of work to be done in it for people to adopt it. If you start thinking about just optimize to attention, quite rightfully, you'll get a certain demographic that will look at everything as opposed to younger. You'll always optimize attention. If you do, it'll always be older people, it's been proven, which is no bad thing. But how do you do it for different segments and things? So bringing that in, that's been really interesting to put it there. It's helped for programmatically served ads to be evaluated, judged on their contribution to the overall business objective in a different, more mature way. We're not talking about someone clicked on this and that journey went to there. It's actually, right, what is the story the brand is trying to tell? What product are they trying to promote? Whatever it needs to be. And then how do we get that to the right people? Same story as always, but how do we do it in a way that we're giving them something better in the journey, something that they can feel that attention is a finite resource. And if we start working on that premise, I think it just adjusts what we do to make it more valuable to the audience that's looking for it. So that's the approach we take. Again, no one size fits all.
I'm sold.
Well, there you go.
I feel that.
Thanks. I was trying to remember my old pitch from years ago. But it's, no one size fits all. So we do have to, and also gradually introduce it. There's still a debate around how attention is measured, or different things. You guys have one method, different companies have different ways to do it. That to me is less relevant than the fact that it's on the agenda and people are talking about it. We can always work out the methods and how it's there as long as the conversation topic's been introduced.
Absolutely. Now, it wouldn't be a conversation with me and you unless we talked a little bit about campaign optimization. This used to be a somewhat manual process.
Yes.
Yeah. So through a programmatic lens, has this changed with the resurgence of AI?
It has. Or rather, it is. I don't think that we're at the point where it has just changed. I think we're going through a period of change. Sounds a bit cheesy, but true. If I look into what the developments are in the main DSPs, so let's step away from Double Verify for just a second. But if we look into
AI maturation.
There you go again, making words up. But no, it's if we look into what the DSPs have been introducing and continue to introduce. I think at DV360 in particular, but also there's a new iteration of the Trade Desk's new launch coming out. I think it's the end of this month, so plug out to them as well. It is allowing that in-platform trader a lot more time to get on with the bigger detail of the campaign, rather than, a client doesn't want to be spending time or resource on a bunch of people sitting there playing around in spreadsheets. So if we can automate as much as possible of that and trust the automation, trust the AI that's there, and that's the word that I think we need to start talking more about, is what trust have we to do it? Just because you can do it, what is it that we're doing and how do we trust it to happen? But if we can get to the point where we free up the time of that resource, of that person in the platform, I think come to great events and sit under big sparkly lights, but we forget about sometimes that mid-20s trader that's starting off in their career as a programmatic account trader, exec or AM or whatever the title might be. They're the ones pulling the levers in the DSP, seeing what's happened. So the knowledge that they have is vital to be able to pass through to the client. I don't want them on a call saying we've optimized towards a click-through rate or we've optimized for that, nor does the brand. So if we can talk about actually we made these decisions and changes which are more related to your outcomes, your business outcomes, your objectives overall, rather than just a media metric part, then I think that's gold. I think as a client, that's what they're looking for us to deliver to them. And I think as an agency, that's what we want to deliver to them. And as that trader, it's a much more interesting conversation for them to have. So that's where we're at. It's a lot of introduction of things that are coming in, but it's freeing up the time and the resource to allow those guys to be able to have more mature conversations.
There's a lot of maturity.
A lot of maturity here for two really mature people. But yeah.
You bring up a really valid point, actually. I think, one of the things is trust in the AI. And one of our panelists today brought up the fact that they are bombarded at the moment with lots of new companies saying use our AI, within your brand to do various functions. Like, how do we even go as an industry about auditing what's positive AI and what's not positive AI?
Wow.
Because there's two really interesting sides to the coin here. I mean, we could do a whole session talking about different AI and campaign and creative optimization. But it's a really key point. It kind of brings me on to my next question for you. What does AI enable you to do that you couldn't do before, with a focus on improving campaign performance and ROI?
Oh, crikey, big question again.
Big question.
I feel like I've just answered that one, actually, because it's a similar thing. If you look at it from what is being applied within the tech and the tools that we're using, we have to work really closely with our partners like DV to understand that and to translate that from tech to English for us and for clients to understand. But I think that, when we originally started bringing in algorithmic trading and programmatic trading many years ago, and introducing it as the buying method that would become standard, there was a huge question around what the tech is just going to do it all. What happens to the salespeople? What happens to those relationships? And I think it's never that case. So we said it then, and I would say it still now. It needs to be the tech and the human working together. That has to be at the core of it. So what is AI allowing us to do in that sense is that it's developed the tech more to allow us to do richer, broader things. I think the same panelists talked about huge computational power to be able to interject many different data points. I don't want to misquote her, but it was a really valid point. How do we bring in richer forms of data, looking at it from different places? And it allows us to do that at speed, with agility, and then that frees up the human element of it to be able to read that in a way that makes it translatable to brands and the outcomes that they're looking for.
Do you have any concerns around AI-generated content, creative, and that when it comes to kind of campaign optimization? And, do you feel it in any way could negatively or positively impact ROI? Another loaded question.
It's, because there was that audio clip of Sadiq from earlier on, and you've got that sort of thing, which I think would concern anyone. Deepfakes and that sort of stuff would frighten the life out of anyone, really, when you think about where that could end up, and that journey would go on. I think it's more interesting in terms of, if we have concerns around that, then what we need to look at is what we're incentivized to buy. So it's not pointing fingers or placing it at one person's table. I think it's a collective effort. But if we have an addiction to reach and scale, which the walled gardens and social media have delivered, you can reach, I think, more people than the US Census in some places, which there's question marks around that. But you can. It's been that way for years. So if social media and the walled gardens will allow that to happen, then perhaps we need a bit more of a mature conversation on what are the metrics that do matter, because it's gamifying the industry to deliver what brands are asking for. So, there's a huge question here about MFAs, and you'll hear both sides of the conversation talk about it. But to me, personally, I feel like they've been a direct result of this mass reach, mass scale, because it will stand up and be built for it. Not AI generated as such, not by bad actors perhaps, but you will then get that in terms of it. We know fraud is a huge piece. and we know we have to combat it. So we need to look at how we're incentivizing what's being built and what's been delivering for those ads. And that starts with the brands, and that starts with the agencies helping our brands to navigate that, and then partners helping both those agencies and brands to be able to navigate it. So I think it's, it is of concern, but if we have more mature conversations around what we're incentivized to buy and what we're incentivizing to deliver, which on the flip side, AI will allow us to have, then I think we should be safe going forward. But don't have a crystal ball. Come back in 12 months and see if we're still sitting
You're
here.
not the first person to say that.
I wouldn't imagine so either.
Any predictions for 2024?
I don't have a crystal ball. Do you know what? I think we've had as an industry maybe a bit of a bumpy ride in the last 18 months or so. Cost of living crisis is out there for everyone. That hasn't gone away. Brands have felt under the batten down the hatches. It's been a tough time. Starting to see little bits of green shoots coming in. Certainly, I'm really inspired by a huge amount of people who have joined the industry in those junior ranks in the last 12, 18 months that I've seen. These guys do not have that hang-ups. These guys and girls come in with full of ambition, full of potential. They understand tech in a way that mature people like us maybe didn't. I don't know what I was reaching for there. But they've grown up with they've grown up with it. I think there's still work to be done around that. So I think that we'll have to educate them a little bit more around some of those major news sites and news brands and publishers and things like that, because they don't consume their content that way. But I'm very encouraged by seeing that come in, and I think that between that and the fact that we've had a bumpy ride for a while, it's not fully out of recovery or anything like that. Obviously we've got a lot of elections to happen, but I think that we have to look forward with some level of positivity, and I look for that in the crew that have just joined the industry.
Absolutely, really. Couldn't agree with you more. Mike Murray, thank you for joining us
Always
today.
a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, and thank you for joining us on DV Live. We'll see you next time.